cops are pro Second Amendment. When seconds count, the police are minutes away. And then thirdly, police under no obligation to preemptively stop crime. It's not their job. And the context of that was people having guns, which I thought that was interesting perspective from a police officer.
Yeah, although the idea that what'd you say he said police are are primarily pro Second Amendment. I mean, I guess I would not find that surprising, given that I would think there's not a whole lot of like ultra liberal cops.
Yeah, it's interesting. I remember I did a story. I think it was me. If not, I'll certainly take credit for it for the purposes of our on-air broadcast about that police officer, lieutenant commander, or commander, something like that in Cleveland that got in a bunch of trouble. Who said, "Yeah, you know what? You do yourself a favor. You have a responsibility of having a gun to defend yourself because things happen so quickly. At that point, the police basically are just showing up and counting bodies and calling the morgue."
Well, and I mean, I think you said this yesterday. One of your cop friends. Listen, you know what? I have always not really liked the whole word cop, and I think in light of, I mean, from Ferguson on, I think it's almost. It's not demeaning. Listen, they call themselves that sometimes, the cop shop and whatever have you, but the idea of a police officer, I mean, someone whose primary objective, and this gets back to the beginning of my rambling statement / question. You mentioned yesterday that your friend said that number one objective is to come home to your family, but secondly, the objective is to stop or prevent any violence against the citizenry. So. Yeah, it's just, man, what a job these days. And, you think about what happened in New York City, and, there are alerts that have gone out across the country since Saturday warning, wear your bulletproof vests. Yet, at least one officer recently shot in the neck and died because the vest didn't catch the bullet. What a profession, man.
Yeah, no kidding. Stunning, absolutely. I have a friend of mine that's just got into law enforcement. Frankly, I'm the same way. I feel like, cops shorthand, but I prefer law enforcement officer or police officer.
Exactly. Can you imagine? I mean, when I was a financial planner, I used to think about this. You kiss your wife goodbye, your kids in the morning, and you don't say it to them, but it's kind of almost subliminal or
Hello? Hello?
I'm thinking at any moment I could be shot. You and I write for a living. We talk for a living. Can't imagine that happening there either. I mean, it's just an unbelievable profession, man.
Yeah, it is. It's really stunning. Hey, I understand via Jess that we have got a caller on the line. Not exactly sure who this is. This is Mike and Michael. Who is this?
Oh, this is Phyllis again. I'm just I don't
Phyllis!
I don't have much time today, but I'm so angry. Everywhere I go, it's like you see Santa Claus, and you see all these Christmas lights, and it just people are just losing the real meaning of the season, and it just drives me insane.
Hey Phyllis, you know what? Repeat that, buddy, sister.
Sorry. I just everywhere I go.
Okay, we can hear you.
I see Christmas lights. I see a Santa Claus. I see decorations and all this stuff, and just people are just losing the real meaning of the season, and it just is really driving me nuts.
Well, there we go. So what is the real meaning of the season, Phyllis?
Well, it's Kwanzaa.
There we go.
And I can't find any like Kwanzaa displays anywhere. And it's driving me nuts. I mean, there's no celebration about Kwanzaa. Look, if the world adopted the principles of Kwanzaa, what a better place it would be.
See, I'm with you because, man, I was looking for like the top 10 Kwanzaa songs is what I Googled. So I was looking for a Kwanzaa song to sing on the show today with Housem. And, I struck out. I'm depressed.
I know.
Well, you know what, guys?
Everybody in Africa celebrates Kwanzaa, and nobody here even knows about it.
I have, and I wasn't going to actually announce this until next week, but I should probably do it now. I started a nonprofit, and we're in the process right now of obtaining some federal grants, and hopefully it'll all be backdated, obviously for tax purposes. But the whole point of it is to begin a marketing campaign. Well, it's two-pronged. Number one is to begin a marketing campaign to highlight the importance of Kwanzaa during the winter solstice celebratory season. But then secondly, the problem that you identify, being assaulted visually and even audibly on occasion from non-Kwanzaa related winter solstice celebratory music is offensive, and that is a real psychological impact upon you. Yeah. And you shouldn't have to pay for treatment and counseling and perhaps even medication that is resultant from a reaction caused by things that you had no involvement in. So what we're going to do is we're going to be establishing clinics as a result of this federal grant, and you will be eligible for treatment, for counseling, compensation, as well as medication.
Speaking of clinics, will the Hombres No Mas clinic be able to submit for that grant?
You know what? It depends on their tax status. Certain organizations obtain nonprofit preferred tax status almost instantly, and those that are a little bit more objectionable, of course, it might take years.
Well, hold on. They do taxes there along with nails. So would that count?
No, that whether or not they actually perform the function.
That's why I'm waiting to January. Because I don't have my W-2s.
All right, you guys listen. I mean, I think, Phyllis, I don't know. I know you travel the world as our roving correspondent, and you probably were, engrossed in your job yesterday and did not listen to the right mics when we talked about our support for Kwanzaa at length. But you guys, here's the deal. And this is what is so special about it. Listen, I mean, it's easy for Christians to get into Jesus, right? Because Jesus was a good guy. I mean, did a lot of good things. But think about the healing aspect of Kwanzaa. I mean, Housem, as I said yesterday, I mean, you had a radical in the 60s who invented Kwanzaa. And then for him to, throw down radicalism, wink, wink, and embrace the peace and harmony of Kwanzaa, I mean, that's a pretty tough deal. And I think that's why we're all on board, right?
Absolutely. Well, I'm sorry I don't get to listen to your show regularly because there's no app yet for my my iPhone. Well, if you have an app for the iPhone, I will listen to it. But
we're working on it, but we're arguing. Phyllis, we're working on it, but we're arguing. We're at loggerheads about whose picture will be on the app.
Oh well, yeah. Well, certainly my picture should be on it, but that's neither here nor there. So I just think that if the world embraced the principles of Kwanzaa, especially a collective work and responsibility, maintain our community together, make our brothers and sisters our problems, solve them together, cooperative economics to build and maintain our own stores, shops, businesses, and profit from them together. I mean, if they only tried to have an economic system where everyone was paid the same regardless of how much they work or how much skills they have.
And who can't get behind that?
It's never been tried is the problem.
Right.
It's never been tried, that idea that everybody makes the same. Except Cuba, which is unfortunately now going to be ruined. Because they're going to have all these tourists going down there.
Yeah. I mean, who cannot get behind collectivism? Yeah.
You make a very good point. Phyllis, you make a very good point. We do have to move on.
That's fine. Well, look, happy Kwanzaa. I will light the first candle. In Canada, they get off on Kwanzaa. Kwanzaa starts on December 26th. We don't get it off here. No, got to go work. But in Canada, it's a holiday. I mean, they call it something called Boxing Day, but it's actually it's the same day as Kwanzaa. So I think they say things differently up there. They say like A at the end. I think it's boxing must be how they say Kwanzaa.
Yeah.
I think you're exactly right. That's a good point. Phyllis, thanks for calling in, and happy Kwanzaa to you, our
Happy
sister.
Kwanzaa, Phyllis.
Thank you. You too
See
as
ya.
well. Bye.
All right, bye.
I did want to, Mike. I did want to talk about this Tom Coburn thing, but before we did, I do have a public service announcement that I do need to read.
Okay.
These are from our friends at Los Feliz Daycare, and it's a public service announcement. It's really important. This time of year, children often dress in reds and greens, and we cannot allow that. Red is an angry color, and green gives off a shiftless vibe.
Huh. Well, I would think if you just wore green, that would give off a green vibe, wouldn't it, in terms of alternative energy? But who am I?
Well, you know what? I actually did send them a tweet in response that are they now post going green? And, you know, they do have their struggles. Like this is the one they just put up yesterday. We're having big issues with a lot of Capricorns this week. Lots of tantrums and misunderstanding. The Leos and the Scorpios, however, have been total dolls. So that's good. Hey, so I can't keep reading. I could just sit and read their tweet feed all day long, man. They're so good. Hey, so Mike, I don't know if you saw. Did you see? I put up that article about Dr. No Tom Coburn's tax decoder.
I did see that.
Okay, folks. If you have a spare little bit of time over the next couple of weeks, do yourself a favor and go to Tom Coburn's website. He is the just retired senator from Oklahoma, affectionately by the right, hatefully by the left, known as Dr. No, and he left the Senate because of health reasons. He just put up this 300-page document called the Tax Decoder. And I spent probably close to 3 hours the other night reading through this thing, putting together an article and a video for IJ Review. And basically, what's stunning to me about this, the title of the article is Outgoing Senator Known as Dr. No Leaves a Parting Gift That Could Be Worth Hundreds of Billions. Coburn identifies approximately $1 trillion of programs that are utter nonsense in the tax code. And it's 300 pages going from a particular aspect of the tax code, such as healthcare, housing, business, energy, international. I mean, it's just well, let me put it this way. If you've ever paid income tax, if you are currently paying income tax, or if in the future you're ever going to pay income tax, you need to read this document.
It's incredible, man. Because the tax code now is completely out of control. I mean, that's why, excuse me, not only do we need CPAs, and the more money you make, the more you pay a CPA, but why CPAs and the public accountants in general recoil in horror whenever the thought of a flat tax or a consumption tax or whatever comes along. Because, Michael, this thing is so complicated and obtuse that the average American is clueless, has no understanding of what's going on.
Oh, absolutely. Right now, Mike, the tax code is just over 9,000 pages long. And according to the IRS numbers, of all of the tax forms filed in the country, so that's individuals and corporations and partnerships and everything else, approximately 90% of those tax documents are filed on the behalf of others or with the assistance of third parties. So only 1 out of 10 documents, or only 1 out of 10 tax returns are actually filled out by the taxpayer themselves.
Right. Which is, I mean, this is why the whole accounting profession loves liberals. I mean, let's face it, loves Democrats because they protect their livelihood.
Yeah, the conclusion in terms of the CPAs in that, they estimate that the time and energy spent complying with the requirements of the tax code is effectively between 300 and 800 billion dollars